I've been asking myself recently, if I had to start all over again in 2025, what are the top 5 pocket knives that I would start with as a foundation? And as someone who's been testing out pocket knives for over a decade and handling hundreds upon hundreds of designs, that can be a tricky assignment. So, as I share with you my foundational list that I would start with, I invite you to participate in this thought experiment, asking yourself that same question. If you had to start all over again with the knowledge that you currently have, what are the top 5 pocket knives that you would start with in 2025? If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Aaron. This is Gideonstactical. This is going to be a blast. Let's dive on in. Now, there are 5 categories that these blades need to fill for me, including Scalpel, Ultralight, Unsung Hero, Bet Your Life On, and From Trash to Treasure. And I want to begin with the Unsung Hero. I just believe this knife does not get anywhere near the recognition it deserves, and it checks so many boxes for me. And it is the SPARTAN blades, Les George designed ASTOR. And I know what you're thinking, oh, SPARTAN blade, was that like a $300 knife? I paid like $85 back in the day a few years ago when I bought this, and now you can score them for right over 100, maybe 110, depending on where you pick them up and where you find them. And what you get is not only an excellent CTS XHP steel, which is a phenomenal steel. If you've never used it, you're missing out. It's in the D2 steel family, but it's much more wear resistant and rust resistant. I'm very impressed with it overall. And on a 3.5-inch blade that just is very aesthetically pleasing. Les George designs are always very magnetic to me. I connect with them. But the geometry of the blade, we get swedging on the 1/8 of an inch thick stock. So we have a good piercing tip, but we have a very high flat grind with excellent belly geometry for slicing performance. So going through different types of material, it's going to slice really well, giving a little bit more durability than a full flat, but not having like a really low grind, so it's kind of thick. So it has this really slicey, durable type of grind that is matched with a really good steel. Then a lot of pocket knives nowadays, they come with ball bearings, which is fine, but I actually prefer bronze washers. Leave a comment if that's what you prefer. These have oil-infused bronze washers, which I believe means there's like there's something going on in there that kind of like houses a little bit of oil. It doesn't leak or anything. But what that means is it's very smooth deployment, not as fast as a ball bearing, but less play, less maintenance, less likelihood of getting gunked up. I still can easily whip it in and out without much issue. There's a good detent. And that's just something I prefer. So the pivot, along with the excellent stop bar and the liner lock, I know liner locks in some ways have kind of fallen out of favor. This is one of my favorites. It's so solid, the lockup, there's zero play left, right, up, down, partly because of those washers, but also the stop bar and just how the very well-designed milled liner lock right there, so I can easily disengage it, whoosh, close it into place, buried tip. Really flows well together. Full real estate on the G10 handles. There's like a carbon fiber G10 blend on the black model, and they usually tend to be a little bit more expensive. The green doesn't have that. It's just standard G10. You get a deep ride loop over ambi with the ambidextrous thumb studs. It's gonna be a little heavy, about 5 ounces, but if you've been following the channel for a while, I've been gravitating a little bit more to heavyweight pocket knives more frequently. And I mean, I'm just getting all of this in just a really well-designed package that looks good, good quality steel, it's not gonna break the bank, and just really is a workhorse on multiple fronts. But I'm really looking forward to hearing from you guys, because I know that there are some excellent designs out there that no one really talks about. So make sure to comment below on what your favorite Unsung Hero design is in the pocket knife arena. Now, what about a pocket knife that went from trash to treasure? That at first you just didn't really connect with it, but either you customized it or maybe over time, some environments, maybe work changed, and you really fell in love with the design, so much so that if you had to start all over again, it would be in this top 5 list. Now, I wrestled with this category so much because I have 2 blades that I just was not really digging at first, but have just become vital to me. So we're getting a 2-for-1. The first blade is the BENCHMADE REDOUBT. Now, if you go back and watch my initial video on this, I was not digging this knife for multiple reasons. D2 steel, I was kind of like, man, that feels really outdated. Why are they doing that? I was not digging the design look of the blade. The handle ergonomics were really weird looking when you just looked at the knife. The traction pattern was really aggressive, and the cost I just felt like was not there. So all those things came together, and I was just like, I don't know what Benchmade was thinking with this blade. But through that video, several of you told me to go get aluminum handle scales from AWT, I believe it's Advanced Weapon Technologies. And so I did. I was like, fine. I mean, I'm not digging this blade. Let's just see what happens. And it revolutionized this knife so much. And then as I began to use the CPM D2 steel blade, which is radically different with an HRC of 60 to 62 than the D2, junk you're going to get from overseas, I have absolutely fallen in love with the modified design. It was a trash design that has become a treasure to me, and it really is the handle ergonomics. This is a very different handle design with light ribbing of aluminum with machined shoulders that just fills out the hand so much better. It dialed down the tread of the original design, so it just feels a lot more comfortable in the hand, and just visually, because you can have all sorts of different color patterns to choose from, really just gave it a good pop that the original did not. So the ergonomics were totally transformed when I threw those handle scales on there. And then because you can either do a standard Benchmade loop with the handle scales, screwing them on like a pocket clip, or the REDOUBT, which was one of the few things that I really did like. This is one of Benchmade's best pocket clips. They need to do this with more designs. The pocket clip is perfect, easy to get out of your pocket, but also is deep ride. So ergonomically, the pocket clip, all those things. It's another blade that has bronze washers, and it just really beefed up and just gave me because the polymers were clacky handle. That happens a lot with Benchmade. Now with the aluminum, it doesn't have anywhere near that like clacky feel and feels really dense and like, let's go, let's work. And then on top of that, the D2 steel, CPM D2. Now having used it a lot and at that Rockwell of 60 to 62, which is the same HRC that Benchmade uses on their MagnaCut. Now, I would argue MagnaCut's tougher in most ways, and probably a little more rust resistant, but I would take this CPM D2 steel over any of Benchmade's S30V steel blades. It holds an edge longer, and it's easier for me personally to put an edge back on when the time comes for that. So those type of things, along with the high grind on the broad blade, it just really, really works for me on multiple levels and has just totally become a treasure. And it checks a lot of different boxes and kind of this overbuilt, good wear resistant, and customized pocket knife now that if I had to, I would rebuild this thing again in a heartbeat. And leave a comment if you also sport AWT scales on your favorite pocket knives. Now, if you served in the US military during the 1990s, you're gonna really enjoy this next trash to treasure model. But it's time for a quick timeout to invite you guys to like, subscribe, and make sure to hit the bell icon so you can be notified every week when I put up new videos just like this. And I know you guys always ask, hey, what watch are you sporting? And I recently got my hands on this Veer Watch C5, and it has been performing exceptionally well for me, and I'm really glad that they're today's sponsor. And when I began to read the specs and see the features, I was sold. And this is accomplished through a Japanese Epson solar movement, which means with 6 hours of light, you get 6 months of reserve power, so you rarely ever need to replace the battery. And they protect that solar movement with a screwed down crown that is rated for 100 meters, giving it a 100% ocean ready guarantee. Housed in a stainless steel body with a sapphire crystal face, which is going to be a lot more protective against scratches than cheap alternatives. And the hour, minute, and second hand are illuminated for when things go dark. And pair that with Veer's quick change wristbands, and the C5 ships with 2, giving you extra levels of versatility. Plus, the C5 is assembled right here in the USA, giving it a unique designation that's hard to achieve. And this is just one of the many designs and power options that Veer watches offer. They also have Japanese quartz movement and automatic movements to choose from. So I'm gonna have a link popping up here as well as in the description box below where you can start exploring all the different options and designs to really dial in the perfect model for you. Guys, after a couple months, I can't say enough good things. I'm very impressed with what these watches bring to the table. So I encourage you to check them out so that you can have an excellent timepiece on all of your upcoming adventures. Now guys, I'm sorry. I lied to you. Initially, at the beginning of the video, I told you these were gonna be my top 5, but this trash to treasures concept just really started gnawing on me in such a way that I was like, I gotta include this other knife. I have to. And there are these other blades. So ultimately, we're gonna get 6 knives out of this video. So it's really 6 knives for me. Maybe it's only one, ultimate, trash to treasure video or blade for you. But I know for some guys watching in the audience, this is going to be extremely nostalgic for you, because if you served in the US military in the 1990s, you probably had the Gerber GATOR. Oh yeah, the original Gerber GATOR. It came out in like 1993 or 1994. Quickly got picked up by like military. What is it? I never served, so thank you for all those of you who did serve. You're amazing. Appreciate you. Where you can pick it up at their general store. I'm missing the word right now. Leave a comment. I'm sorry. Anyway, and initially there's nothing really that fancy about the blade. It's 428C, made in America, but I mean, easy to resharpen, easy to put an edge on. Hollow grind, clip point. You could get plain edge or serrated. It was really the GATOR tread that really kind of set it off. It's very rounded, very full, big handle with a rubberized GATOR pattern on the exterior and then a polymer core, like hardened plastic, with a lockback design. And it just really feels good in the hand, especially if you have gloves on, and it's just extremely comfortable and ergonomic. Very, very ergonomic, but it's thick, it's bulky, doesn't even have a pocket clip, didn't even come with a thumb stud or slit. So you had to use 2 hands to deploy the knife. So I don't know, I think I got this originally like 6-7 years ago when I originally did the review just to do it. And I was just kind of like, whatever, but just didn't really carry it a lot. And then what ended up happening is I needed a belt-mounted pocket knife when I started to help my buddy for a summer a year or 2 ago with his tree trimming business. I found that I was working with gloves a lot, and I was having difficulty getting my pocket knife out of my pocket while we were, doing different things with ropes and pulling down tree branches that were cutting and stuff. And so I found that it was easier to have something on my belt, like in a pouch. And I wanted something that I could manipulate with my gloves, because I love that ASTOR, but trying to disconnect, the liner lock with gloves on, it's pretty tough to do. And so what I ended up doing, because the nylon sheath that this comes with isn't that great, I mean, it's doable, but I got a BENCHMADE. I just found one on Amazon. It's an American-made company that does leather pouch sheaths, or pouches, and this just works super well. Very good quality. I don't think they actually had, at the time, they had one for the GATOR. It seems to be unavailable, but the center drive from Gerber fits in here, and they have a center drive pouch, so you could do that if you have a GATOR and you're wanting that to upgrade. So that immediately upgraded like the carryability, because then I could be like doing something and I could pull it out easier than when it was in my pocket with my gloves on. And then I found a Quicks bolt on. It just screws down onto the tang. It never falls off. Thumb stud, which then made it one-hand deployable. I mean, look at how fast that thing is, easy to drop, so I could manipulate it all with one hand with gloves on and give me excellent ergonomics. And because of the hollow grind and the 420HC, I mean, I could just slice all day through cordage, rope, and you can use it as an awesome like camp knife, whatever it is. That's where it would really, I feel, fit a niche, I think. And I just discovered that there's definitely scenarios where having a pocket knife that fits in a pouch versus your belt with good ergonomics for your with gloves on is essential. It's a must-have. So I had to have a knife that would check all of those boxes. And so for me, it's a modified Gerber GATOR. And I know I'm going to be getting questions, where can I get the thumb stud or the sheath or your gloves or whatever? I'm going to have links in the description box below to all the affiliate networks I partner with all the gear that we're talking about in this video. So if something stands out to you that you want to maybe put into your new foundation, thinking through this concept, those are all included below. And if you're enjoying this type of thought experiment, I did the same concept video on fixed blades last week. And so I'm gonna have that video popping up right here, and it'll be linked in the description box below, so that at the end of this video, you can circle on over there and do the same thing with your fixed blade collection. In this foundational list, I have to have a knife that is just extremely slicey. It'll just go through anything, has a great steel that will just hold its edge forever. I don't have to worry about resharpening it. I could just destroy a warehouse of cardboard boxes and it wouldn't even blink. Well, I would immediately, if I had to do this again, rush out and pick up the SPYDERCO Stretch 2 in K390. When it comes to slicing geometry, SPYDERCO really has everyone beat in my mind. Their full flat grinds are just insane. Their edge geometries are phenomenal. And I really connect with the blade shape on this particular model. The original Stretch 2 kind of looks like a dodo bird and just really isn't aesthetically pleasing to me. And VG10's okay, but the K390 on particularly this blade length, you know, giving us about 3 inches of cutting edge and then about 3.4, I think, with the choil. The K390 is bananas. It will hold an edge for literally ever. When you rate it up against steels like M4, Crewwear, which are also some of my favorites, this is gonna hold its edge longer than all of those. Now, it's a little bit more brittle, harder to resharpen, but I think I've honed this one time in, I think 2 years at least, since I originally bought this blade. So, I mean, it just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. It is terrifyingly sharp. The piercing point can penetrate any packaging, anything that I would ever need, food prep, whatever. K390 will stain. It's not a rust-resistant steel. So you can already see, you know, just kind of the staining and stuff on there, which is totally fine with me. I live in a low humid environment here in the Rockies. Now, the blue kind of stands out. I wish they had a couple different colors to choose from, to be honest. You know, if something was to pop up like that, I probably would. It's fine. It's kind of this weird seafoam. You know, has this generic SPYDERCO design. It's slim. It's relatively lightweight, under 4 ounces, ambi, all the things, you know, that you would want with a SPYDERCO. And it's not, for the type of steel, it's not too bad. I think it's like 160 last I checked. But if you were to ask me of all the knives I own, period, when it comes to amazing wear resistance, edge retention, and slicing capability, it's not even, I don't even have to think about it. It's not a struggle. This is the knife, this is the blade that I would pick up to fulfill that category and that requirement of Scalpel-esque with amazing edge retention. Now we're entering the home stretch. We got Ultralight and then Bet Your Life On blades to round out this brain exercise when it comes to blades. And so probably a lot of you are like, oh, so, you know, Ultralight, probably like a BENCHMADE bug out, right? False. Now, if I was gonna say a BENCHMADE bug out, it would be this version, which comes with G10 handle scales and M4 steel that I paid $200 for through Smoky Mountain Knife Works. Because the G10 isn't as, you know, and M4 is way better than S30V in my mind. And that $200, it was like $10 more than the S30V version and only weighs like 2.2 ounces. It's not. Now this knife needs to be a blade. And when I think ultralight, it's mainly for like really form-fitting pants, you know, maybe like slacks that you wear at the office a lot, or in the summertime. You know, you have gym shorts on, things like that. You're just running around town. You got your, you know, flip-flops, whatever. You're going to the beach, doing some different stuff. And you don't want this really overbuilt, bulky, you know, like literally pulling your pants down folder. I love those. Those are some of my faves. But we got to have an ultralight, right? And so those are the type of scenarios where I really want this blade to achieve. And so a knife that is not that much more in weight than the BENCHMADE Bug Out, but I think is far superior in every way, is the BENCHMADE BAILOUT. Yeah, dude, the BAILOUT, bro. If you're gonna choose, go with the BAILOUT every time, unless you can get, again, a G10, you know, model, then maybe. But the BAILOUT is better because it has a longer blade length. It also has a longer handle. Now, these are also AWT aftermarket handle scales. The M4 version does not need those. Now, if you're gonna get the new S30V version that just dropped, which, I mean, why? Then I would upgrade the scales. But I mean, M4 steel that this comes with is just so much far superior than S30V in my mind. It's a great wear resistant, not quite up there with the K390, but it's close. and is a little bit tougher than K390 for sure. What I love about this blade is that it's still very, 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 very slicey. The Tanto, you know, we don't have any Tantos on here, but it just really functions well, partly because there is a slight sweep to the blade, and because of how high the grind is, sliced, he still has that, but it's so thin. It's so thin and comes in at under 3 ounces that you don't even know it's in your pocket. And with the small loop over pocket clip, kind of mini, it's perfect for those gym shorts, lightweight pants, slacks, those type of things. And it's not a broad blade either, so it's not gonna take up a bunch of real estate in the pocket on that front, but it's extremely capable. It's very, very, very slicey, and is just gonna be an overall better real estate in the hand, a little bit longer blade than your standard bug outs there, just so you can see. Just a hair longer in blade length, and a little bit longer in overall handle ergos, and a little bit, you know, just because they kind of give you a guard, it's a little more tactical. You know, you're just locked in a little bit better for harder, you know, pressure if you had to. So for my ultralight blade choice, it would be the BAILOUT in M4 with, I think they're aluminum handles. That is the version that I would go with, unless cost is just such a factor, and then you can go with the budget-friendly option that now exists in S30V with polymer handles. But I'm just not a fan of the like flexiness of those handles, and aluminum or G10 is the way to go. And now for our final category, the knife that you could bet your life on. And I know some of you are probably thinking like, oh, you're talking about like a self-defense tool. That's actually not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a knife that ultimately, if I could only have one, this would be the one. And it checks every single box that I need. A knife that is durable, reliable, I can carry it because it's not super bulky. It's slim enough, you know, to be carried to the office if I had to. It's super durable, so I could go camping with it. I could, you know, take it in some of the harshest environments around the world, and I could, you know, use it in every application that you would expect a pocket knife to ever be put through. What would be the knife that you could bet your life on? And before I share with you what that knife is, I'm going to share with you a little story and to give you a little context on the environments where I would trust the knife I'm about to share with you in. Now, in my late teens and early 20s, I was blessed to be able to go on multiple short-term mission trips all over the world to share the gospel. Partnered with my non-denominational church that I attended, and I was able to go to places like South Africa and Botswana. I was able to go to places like Egypt and Israel and Jordan. I was able to go to places like Russia and Latvia, Haiti, China, and Cambodia twice. And yes, I got to do the fun touristy things and see all the landmarks, but the majority of the time I was in rural areas of these locations, helping the local population and sharing the gospel. Things like clearing brush and building furniture for an orphanage in the rural parts of Botswana. And after the earthquake in Haiti, going to one of the outskirts of Port-au-Prince and helping to rebuild one of the churches there. Or the few times that I went to Cambodia, where there are moments where you're in marketplaces, you know, praying and sharing the gospel with people, or you're walking hut to hut in the rural jungle, sharing the gospel with Cambodians for the first time. And therefore, I've been so blessed to see some of the most interesting, diverse, and wild terrain that this earth has to offer. So the pocket knife that I would take on all of those adventures and just to bet my life on, basically across this planet, would be the Cold Steel Recon 1. The Cold Steel Recon 1, guys, I know for some of you it's probably boring. You're like, oh, of course. But it's so true, guys. It's so true. It's so true. I've bought multiple models. I have a drop point and a clip point. I would go with the clip point if I had a choice. It's just so versatile. It's a little bit more precise on the tip than the drop point. The reason for it, and especially when they upgraded it to S35VN, it's such a well-rounded steel. It's so slicey. I mean, cold steel knives just have great geometry. It's easy to resharpen if I need to. Holds an edge relatively well. The grip is fully there again, so I could wear with gloves when I'm clearing brush. I don't freaking know if there's, you know, a black mamba or a cobra in there, or whatever it may be, or I'm just, you know, slipping it in my pocket and heading to dinner with the wife. You know, whatever it is, it's slim enough to do that. Go hiking with, camping with. You could totally use it in so many different environments. It's ambidextrous. The triad lock, I've pounded on so many times. This knife, I have batoned so many times, and it just keeps on trucking. It never loosens up, never fails on me, always keeps on going. And it just is such a the design is just so well balanced. It's just so well balanced that I would take it to any of those countries on any of those trips all over again, and I know it would just keep on kicking and come back in one piece, and has lasted me forever and ever and ever, and will always be a staple here at the channel. And I don't know if it'll ever really be topped in my collection. One day, I mean, I'll let you know if something, you know, usurps it in like the ultimate pocket knife. And, you know, maybe you're like, oh, dude, I can't, you know, the size, you know, whatever. You know, Cold Steel, I would just say that you just look at one of their other models. And the Verdict is like a great 3-inch model if you just need something slim, but same durability. You know, there's the 8010. I mean, there's so many that just kind of like pick your poison. But the Triad lock with S35VN or similar steel, I mean, let's go. Let's go. And yeah, would be the knife that I would bet my life on. And I just, you know, bought them multiple times and would do it again in a heartbeat. So guys, that is me. That is my mileage. That is my list. I want to thank you so much for hanging with me today. I hope it's been fun, entertaining, very thought-provoking. Can't wait to see your guys' list that you're going to lay down below. Again, check out the fixed blade concept video that's just like this. Again, popping up in the description below. And yeah, appreciate you guys so much. I hope you have a fantastic week. Know that God loves you. And check out the other video, subscribe. And until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.